Hello. So good morning, everyone. Welcome back to this school of life. I think for me, one thing that really struck me from this sharing last week, Jello was sharing about this favorite home of the Trinity. Those who were here, I think he was asking us what is your favorite church, and yeah, for me it really stayed with me because it reminded me how like that contrast and recognizing that I am that beloved favorite church of the Trinity. For me, it helped me very much to see how they choose us each day. They choose to live within us. And this makes our very being, this place of encounter of love. And therefore, love is this very essence of our life. It is like our DNA running through deep within us. And yeah, for me, I really like the video that we've just watched earlier on because I think it reveals so much of this nature of us to love. Love is our very identity. It is our identity. Sometimes maybe we might confuse our identity with roles, titles, responsibilities, like being a student. I don't know if you are like part of the student council, the different roles, president, valedictorians, if you are very studious and smart. And sometimes also, I think as we also start working, sometimes we confuse our identity as our career, being an engineer, being a scientist. All these titles and responsibilities are actually ever changing. They are ever changing with our different stages of life. It changes. But our identity, it will always remain. It is always constant. Our identity, this call to love, will always remain whatever our roles, titles, or responsibilities may be. And no, since love is our identity, it's only when we love that we can live. Only when we love, we live. In Luke chapter 10, verses 27 to 28, this passage, I think you might be familiar with how this young man, this scholar of the law, asked Jesus this question: what can I do to gain eternal life? And Jesus answered him that love is the key. Love with all your heart, mind, and strength, your being. Love God, loving God and loving your neighbor. And he emphasized at the end, do this and you will live. He was very direct. Love and you will live. And don't we all want to live? I think all of us deep down, we seek to live. And not only do we want to be alive, breathing, with our heart pumping, but we all seek to live life to the full, to the full. And this comes only when we live our identity, when we live out our deep identity. I'd like to ask you this question now, to just think about it in your heart. What makes us feel alive, experience joy, and give fulfillment in your life? Give you that life, that different, that adrenaline within. For some of us, maybe it might be sports, some music, some movie lovers, maybe the movies, watching movies give you life, or arts, or connecting with friends. For others, maybe it's the adrenaline of achieving good results, or learning new gadgets, how to use new gadgets, or maybe gaming. I'm not sure now what is I hear some of my youth sharing Mobile Legends. I don't know what is that thing that give you that adrenaline now. And all these, they are not bad in nature. Personally, I enjoy music and it really gives me life. But what about you? All these activities we enjoy, that gives life, they are good and they are not bad in nature. But these activities, the list goes on for each one of us. If we stop them, eventually that joy, that life, sometimes it will fade away. Either gradually, or sometimes right at the moment when we stop. You think about it, when we stop gaming, for instance, then the adrenaline fades away, isn't it? When we get a new device, a new gadget, when I'm given one, or when we are given one, like it is something that gives me life to figure out how to use it. It's like learning something new. But then after a while you get familiar with it, then it doesn't feel so interesting anymore. It will fade away after a while. And for me, I remember a time when I was in college, and because my results were quite mediocre, and there was this particular semester that I unexpectedly achieved like a perfect score in all my results. And for me, I was really overjoyed. I experienced that joy and that life. It lasted for a few weeks. But looking back now, years later, I could say that I'm really grateful for that experience, that moment. But I really no longer experience that same fulfillment in life anymore. But when I look back at the moments in my college days where I chose to love, where I reached out to someone, where I experienced love, spending time with my friends, these are these moments that still warms my heart. These are the moments that I think it still gives me life even now, even when I just recall them. And so what are these moments of loving for each one of you that and being loved that still gives you life even until now, even until this date? Love is also a matter of life and death. And what do I mean by that? No, maybe it isn't this death of like a physical death, like isn't immediate, but a gradual one. When we stop loving, I think somehow we will start to feel empty. We will start to be a bit grouchy and grumpy. And when you meet a grumpy person, you wouldn't want to be near them. No? So likewise, if we are getting grouchy and grumpy, nobody will want to interact with us. They will avoid us more. And then with this, unknowingly, we'll start to be even more unhappy. We feel lifeless. But on the other hand, when we love, it gives us life. And this life can give transcendence. This life can give transcendence. Think about it. Like each one of us maybe is. I think for me it was one thing I learned also here in the Philippines in one of your national holidays. Our national hero here, national hero Ninoy Aquino. For me, it's like how it struck me how he risks his life so tangibly to come back to the Philippines, holding fast to his call to love by staying true to what he believes, that the Filipinos are worth dying for, one of his famous quotes, no? And despite his assassination, he came back at the airport, he died. He didn't get to do physically anything much that he wanted to do, no? But his love still transcend beyond, because his death, his assassination, led to a strong movement of love, of a group of people standing up, fighting for peace and freedom. And I think some of you are movie lovers, no? I'm not sure if you watched the movie Hacksaw Ridge. And for me, it was like a movie that also showed that transcendence of love, because the main character, Desmond Doss, he was this person who was inspired and to love in his very unique way, to go to war without a gun and saving lives. And this call inspired and converted many, because he saved not only his own companions, but he saved even the enemies. And for him, that was his call. And eventually he saved up to like 75 people in the war. And this is that transcendence of life he shared and he gave to all. Now our love, each one of us, it can transcend. And that even though like there are many things, in this time of pandemic, maybe we feel like there are many things we cannot do anymore. We experience some sense of lifelessness. But when we start to discover how we can love where we are, we can rediscover again this new sense and purpose of life. Do we want to simply go with the flow of life? Or in living, do we seek to live a purpose-driven life deep down within us? I think this pandemic is close to 2 years now, no? And perhaps sometimes we feel helpless. Sometimes I experience that. I feel helpless, seeing no end to the situation. But these months, looking back again and again, being invited to look back with eyes of faith, I think it really helped me to perceive this time also with newness and opportunities. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, we cannot control the external situations. But we can still taste the newness of life by making conscious choice to love every day. Love by discovering new talents. Love by discovering new capacities. I think many became interested in baking, in IT in this time because of the needs. And this became the new means to share love. Perhaps some of us, we discovered new hobbies and even opportunities, more opportunities now to bond with our loved ones, no? Our Lolo, our Lola, our parents, because I'm not sure if you experienced this, but even in community, we experience with our older missionaries. No? They will need help in IT, and then we will be the one helping them, teaching them, the younger generation. I think all of you are the IT generation. And it's this opportunity also to love, to bond with them, to share our IT knowledge with them. When we love, we can see new opportunities. We can taste the newness of life there. We can find this renewed purpose, and in that we live. So if love is the way to go, what is love? How are we called to love where we are? I think sometimes we all seek to love, but sometimes things around us, movies, music, songs, they distort our true understanding of love. Even the society, how they view love. For instance, we might feel that love is always to please the other. But sometimes the call to love involves speaking truth, which at first hand might not be very pleasing to the other. We might feel that love is also all about support, giving help, giving alms. They are good, but sometimes this love we might be called to give might be to empower the other rather than to help. And I remember for me in community when I just started learning the guitar a few years ago. My sister in community was really very good in the guitar, but she empowered me to be the one playing for prayer, even though I was still not stable. And she did that because she knew deep down that this empowerment will help me to grow. This is what I needed to experience, to grow, to be better, to improve. What about us today? How might we be also called to love by empowering the other? For example, when our grandparents, our Lolo, Lola, our parents ask us for help to, I don't know, maybe connect to Zoom, like if they want to join something online or join an online mass. Sometimes it's so much faster and easier to just, okay, I will search and I'll on and you just need to start and then use and things like that. But maybe the call to love in some moments could be to guide them, to teach them how to connect, to teach them how to enter, even though it entails a lot more time, a lot more patience. But perhaps love could be also shown in that way, through empowerment. And sometimes we perceive love to be centered on feelings. We constantly seek to satisfy our needs in the other. Maybe sometimes unconsciously, consciously, we seek affirmation and encouragement from others. But this love, the love of God, is really only what can satisfy deep down our heart truly. In the Gospel, 1 John chapter 4, verses 19, we loved because he first loved us. God is the only one who can satisfy this love deep within us. And love, it entails giving ourselves to God through the other. It is a daily decision. And it seeks to achieve and to seek and to help the other achieve that greatest good. Now, for instance, this call to clean up our space, to wash our plates for the next person so that they could have a clean, safe space to use. Love, it also entails this exercise of love, because it's only then that we can live. And I'm not sure, each one of you, is there any plant lovers here? Plantitas in this time. But one sign of life of a plant is growth. When we see new shoots, new leaves, and likewise in our life, one sign of life in our lives is growth. And to the extent that we love, this love grows in us, developing us as a person, and we also become increasingly happy. And loving is a decision that is beyond our feelings. It's beyond our feelings. I remember in my college days, there was these so many moments that I was overwhelmed with my schoolwork. But sorry, can you hear me? Yes. I remember in those times in my college days that there were so many moments that I was overwhelmed with my schoolwork. But in those moments, like I didn't feel like loving because it take a lot more time to spend time with my friends, to have dinner with my family. But in those moments when I look back now, it is this very moment that I chose to love beyond my feelings, that gave me life, purpose, and strength beyond the stressful period. And this exercise of love, no, is continues to be that dynamism that we are invited to hold on to. This dynamism that we are invited to hold on to. And we need to continue to open ourselves, to open our little circles of love and friendship. And so, okay, time is running up. So I would like to just end, no, by also sharing this. The message from World Mission Sunday, which is tomorrow. I'm not sure if you have read the message, but for me, it's really very beautiful, this part of Pope Francis' message. If you have time to just take a look at it after this, no? How love is this dimension that is not only geographical, but existential. In this time of pandemic, we are called to grow in our daily ability to widen our circles, to reach out to others, to widen our circles because there are people who are close to us but are not part of our circles of interest. So how are we called to love and begin loving right where we are? Maybe it could be consciously to set time aside for our family, initiate family bonding, share a sincere prayer, a sincere moment. For some of us, maybe to share a sincere conversation with our yaya, our workers at home if we have any, as they do the work in the house, to express our appreciation to the delivery persons, reach out to our neighbors. The list goes on. We can really be creative in loving. And so, as we deepen in prayer in this moment, I'd like to invite you to just stay, to stay with this call to begin loving, this mission to call to begin loving in the little things. Like the video we watched earlier, I really liked it because it reminded me so much of loving in the little things. The man gave so many things, and sometimes people even judged him. He gained in a way he seemingly gained nothing. But in these little acts of loving, it filled him with so much life. And so when we go beyond ourselves to God through the others, through loving the others around us, it will also help us taste the beauty of life, experience deeper emotions, and live a purpose and driven life. And so each one of us, do we want to live? Do we want to live? Let us start loving where we are, here and now.